Okay, welcome everyone. Mincha Arvit. We have the opportunity to say some divrei Torah. Usually we have our Teshuva Shirat Dovid here with Yossi and with Dovid, but I have the merit today in Shirat Dovid to say a few words based on the Sfas Emes. We are now holding with the Shpizin of Yitzhak Avinu, about to transition from Yitzhak to Yaakov. The second day of Sukkot, already the first day of Chol Hamoed, and for our friends in Chutz La'aretz, would you believe they're still in Yom Tov? They're still experiencing the Chag in the Yom Tov style, and hopefully in New York they're not, flooding too much. We have to have in mind all the people over there. It's not simple. We take for granted a little bit of rain came today. And definitely, we weren't parted from the sukkah with the amount of rain in Eretz HaKodesh. It was like almost nothing. So, Baruch Hashem, we have to thank Hashem that we were able to do the mitzvahs, b'shleimus, the first night. We ate the kazayas. Hopefully, everybody was mekayim this here, the raisa of eating in the sukkah, the first night of Sukkot. And now, with the Simchas Chag, we have the opportunity to shake the lulav and esrog. That's a big part of the simcha, the bus of a yain. I had this beautiful Shabbos in Rabbi Dovid. It was not normal, the blessing of seeing the sugar hopping going around the frat. Yeah, I specifically say sugar hopping because everyone was hopping, and also sukkah hopping as well, that the adults did as well, and it was amazing. So the Sfas Emes gives us a big chizuk of Birishona. So what is the reason, and we've already discussed many times here, the concept that 7th Chodesh is the Chodesh of Shvi, it's the Shabbos Chodesh. It's the opportunity for us to disconnect, to reconnect, even though we still have the ability to be connected to the world outside, but we're on an inner level, we're in our homes, we're in our sukkahs. We've done tshuva, hopefully. There's some reason that Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur has to be there before we can enter into this space of Sukkot. And then we all know the famous kasha, why didn't it come out in Chodesh Nisan when the weather's better? So we're going to see from the Sfas Emes a beautiful answer that it has to be first Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and then Sukkot. And we'll go with his path. And I just want to mention two big rabbis who influenced me very much to connect to the Sfas Emes. It was Rav Simai Zilberberg, who I had the merit to be in the car with many, many times, a big tzaddik, big Oved Hashem. And I listened to his conversations he had with his brothers. And, if anyone out there gets excited about sharing with his brothers or friends sports or music or, Shirat Dovid news, whatever gets you get excited, I don't know. But for him, it was sharing all the mercaz in the Sfas Emes, all the miktavim, all the letters, all the different mercaz, and they knew it, pintlich, as they say in the Yiddish sprach. They knew exactly jeder Platz and which place the Sfas Emes said this, said that, which date, which time, and the same by my Rebbe, the Tolner Rebbe. He should be well, and it should all be well. He is a huge baki, a huge expert in the Sfas Emes, to the point where I've heard him quoting letters Baal Peh. We're not talking just about the Sfas Emes, the Torah, also Sfas Emes Ola Torah, which is the deep. I haven't learned it so much myself, but it's as one of the famous Mefarshim on Shas, but also the Sfas Emes on in his Miktavim, what he wrote to his Chassidim and all the different situations. So it's definitely a very powerful limud Sfas Emes. It's really the key for many people in all the different paths of Judaism have on some level connected to his teachings. And I think one of the reasons is, before we just say something from him, just to prepare that we're about to learn someone who's very holy, is that he was someone, from what I remember when I learned about his life, who, for example, had never had any mikshul in terms of the Bris Kodesh. He was Tar Kodesh, and who he came from, the Imre Emes was his descendant, who he came from the shiurim, and his father as well, who passed away young, was brought up by the shiurim. We know that the shiurim was like the goin amongst the Hasidic Rebbes, and we have lots of stories from Kotsk, and we can go on and on about who the Sfas Emes was, but let's hear a little bit of one of the important points is when you learn this Sfas Emes to realize this tremendous amount of condensed wisdom. It's emes, it's condensed and very concentrated and very intense. So you have to elaborate yourself because he won't do that. Ki ba'alei teshuva ein lahem mokum, HaKadosh Baruch Hu nosen lo mokum hu sukkah. So comes Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, we've done teshuva, so then Hashem needs to give us a place because we're ba'alei teshuva, all of us. All of Klal Yisrael now become ba'alei teshuva. Yeah, this is good news. We've all reached the level of ba'alei teshuva. So Hashem's giving us a place. What is this place? The sukkah. Yeah, He's giving us a place because ba'alei teshuva the main one. tzaddikim, as the Gemara says, there's no place for ba'alei teshuva, so they need to have a place. That's the sukkah. Ki b'nei Shoheima ata ba'alei teshuva. Now we are ba'alei teshuva. Yoshem b'solid shel mokum. We're sitting in the shade of the mokum, yeah, of a place, or the mokum, hai mokum Hashem. We're in a place now. Kafi masha yidua adam she'ein lo mokum. Yeah, mitzvahs asay nosen lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu mokum. Yeah, that when a person has no place, Hashem will give him a mokum. This is a concept. You do it. Yeah. The mokum zeh gavor mamash zochem amasav, and it's a mokum that is higher, that he merited his actions. The famous Gemara in Brachas, we all know the ba'alei teshuva yoshem b'mokum nisan lahem mishamayim canal. The ba'alei teshuva, they sit in a place that is given to them from Shamayim canal. There's very obviously deep concepts that just us simple people like in 2023. But the truth is, and I've heard this, and I want to mercaz this, that our generation really is the door of ba'alei teshuva. So really, we actually have a certain, they say. Some even said standing here. So this is his shul and he's the rav. So I can't be cholik on the rav b'mokum. He said, "Are we really ba'al teshuva? Really, ba'alim? We're real masters of teshuva." But nevertheless, the concept has become, and there's something to it when a word becomes common and use, and it's not just because it's a mistake or something. If something becomes regil and it becomes the reality, and tzaddikim themselves have used the words of ba'alei teshuva, I think that it does have a koach, that we do have a certain bechina of being a master. He's right with Shlomo in the sense of, how can I, for example, my personal journey, they call me about teshuva, when about teshuva yeshiva, about teshuva this, about teshuva that. It's almost a busha when you say it, when you're trying to get your kids into cheder. I remember those days, and we'll tell a story that's in connection with that. But it shouldn't be that way. And one of the things that I would say to the tzaddikim, I remember Rav Simai standing up one time, and he was standing in Shalasudis of the Rav of the Ravin. We're getting to that point. We're now in Sukkot. We're in the Shalasudis of the Tishrei, and this Rav Simai was standing there, and he was saying that the aura of ba'alei teshuva is blibing by the ba'alei teshuva, is staying by the ba'alei teshuva, and this is actually a problem. A guy can come into Eretz Yisrael, can come into a shul from almost garnished, as Rav Simai was saying, as nothing, and he's able to reach levels of avodas Hashem that people who grew up with this for years and years and have been davening and learning their whole life, and they can come and be b'nei aliyah in amazing ways. And I remember him saying this, and he had many examples of people like this in his community, or who've come through the community, and he knew such people. And he said, but this teshuva, this oil of teshuva, the Yetzer Hara, is keeping with the ba'alei teshuva. He's not letting it get to the rest of the olam. Meaning, because if the oil of the ba'alei teshuva would get to the whole of Am Yisrael, like we're saying, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, we really did teshuva, then we'd be sitting here with the mokum of Hashem, we'd be in the sukkah, in the full shleimus of what that means, and we'd be zocher to all this level of Shemayim, we'll merit Mashiach basically, we'll reach what Klal Yisrael are about, which is bringing the Dira Tachtona, bringing Shechina into this world. And that is something that, the ba'alei teshuva have to share. So I wanted to say to him, obviously I didn't because it was the middle of Shabbos, but therefore the ba'alei teshuva have to make sure their light is shared. It shouldn't just stay by them. And that means they need to be given the tools and the ability to communicate that light, and not just be the rebbes and the people who've always grown up with this light. It needs to be shared. That was my addition. But I did have that conversation with him in the right time. And he said to me, "You're a kanoi for chesed." That was his comeback to me. Okay. Hine b'Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur legalim b'nei Yisrael miyetzer hara b'chesed elyon. The Rosh Hashanah of Yom Kippur, b'nei Yisrael redeemed from the yetzer hara b'chesed elyon, with this high level of kindness. Achazeh srikin hagana yoter. So after we're at such a sensitive spiritual state, and I remember this very well, I wish I would get back to this kind of feeling. But when you really first have this concept of this or shel tshuva, it comes to you, it takes over your life. And I'm a witness to this. I can testify this. I'd better stand in the based in Shalmala, based in Shalmata. I better testify and swear on my life that I experienced this or of tshuva. It wasn't just imaginations, because I had a very good secular life that I was giving up. So I wasn't giving it up for imaginations. It was a very real experience of tangible light of tshuva. And you're at a very sensitive state when you're in that moment after Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. I don't know if you all felt it a little bit. It's not just the fasting, it's not just the physical of eating, the transition from not eating to eating, and the transition of being in Yom Kippur, of all the holy tefillahs, and then building the sukkah. There's something either within, you feel certain gentleness and sensitivity that you're more sensitive now spiritually, and you've got to protect that more, says the Sfas Emes. Ki hatikkun she'ena bo misad zchutz asmo rodfin achrav haketrikim. And right afterwards comes all these forces that want to chase you and God forbid prosecute. So Hashem protects us in His sukkah. Al zeh ne'amar baruch podeh u'matzil. That's the concept, the pasuk of podeh u'matzil. Podeh Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. The matzil b'sukkah. Hashem's redeeming us in Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. The matzil and saving us in the sukkah. Shelo yavo akutrim lahaba. So all the prosecutors shouldn't come upon us. So we're right now getting that protection with this man of Simcha Seinu, this man of Sukkah. Eis al gimel devarim olam kaim emes din v'sholem b'chilu. He says now the world is established according to three things: emes, din, sholem. Haim Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur v'sukkos. Ki Rosh Hashanah mishpat. V'sad shekodesh Baruch nosim b'chayim l'kol nevarim. That Rosh Hashanah Hashem gives life to all of creation, and that's the mishpat. We know that the whole world is judged, whether they know it or not. V'Hashem Elokim emes mimela misoira hamishpat shekol echad eich lecha bo shaych lo ba'emes. Yeah, this Rosh Hashanah is a gilui of emes. L'chein omrim b'Rosh Hashanah devracha emes. It says with Hashem's words of truth, that's how He does mishpat. That's how He goes and runs the world. Ki mitzad zeh bo hamishpat b'Rosh Hashanah aval ikar din b'Yom Kippur. But the main din, the chesima, comes down by Yom Kippur. V'sholem, this is the third thing. Remember we said emes, mishpat is Rosh Hashanah, and din is Yom Kippur. And these are the three things that Hashem made the world. So third, shalom, whose sukkahs diksiv pores sukkah shalom. Al gimel yomim tovim elam is kaim kol shana. And through these three yomim tovim of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, sukkahs, the whole world and the whole year gets established again for another year. So the whole world stands off these three pillars of Kaim, Emes, Din, V'Sholem. The whole world is Kaim, Emes, Din, V'Sholem. Truth, judgment, and peace. And comes Sukkot, the Sholem, it envelops us. First, Aleinu Sukkot Salamech. We're going to say in a minute in Maariv, and we're going to experience the Sholem, the fact that Hashem is protecting us after this idle time. We've done tshuva. We've experienced the truth and the judgment and the chesima, and now we're at a point where we're in the more sensitive state, and Hashem's protecting us in the sukkah and giving us ability to internalize it, as we mentioned. Inyan sukkah lulav tiksiv l'chachtem lachem. He goes on to say, v'yidas hayom hashavosa el levavecha, has to bring it into your heart. Ki v'sukkahs nimshach hadas l'bnei Yisrael tiksiv l'man yedu. And that's what we said. The Rosh Hashanah is Chochmah, Yom Kippur is Bina. This is the previous time we spoke, and Sukkot is the man das. Yeah, this is a time to know Hashem and to internalize everything we've accomplished so far in Tishrei and this experience of this Chodesh of Shabbos. The Daled Minim Heim Lahamshich Hadas Panimius Ha'odom. And the Daled Minim, they are the ability to draw the das into the panimius of the person. Or Inyan Sukkah Lulav Kamo Sitzis Tefillin. She or Makiv Hamshachas Hadas V'Daled Bottom Tefillin Kamo Daled Minim. Ki Noda Sheish B'chol Dava Panimius V'Chitzonius. Came by avodas ha'odom. So he brings a lot there, but the idea that we have tzitzis and is more like the or makif, and the sukkah is the or makif, and then the daled milim is the daled bottom of tefillin. We're not wearing tefillin right now, according to most minhagim, and we're internalizing this pneumius, this light, through the tefillin like we do the rest of the year now through the lulav, esrog, the arava, and the hadas, and we're internalizing it and bringing it into our being every time we're shaking in the six directions. We're nanuim, we're internalizing it. And it's something Rav Shlomo was talking about in last week's class, I believe. I remember him mentioning, or over Shabbos, I think. Shabbos he mentioned it in Izbus Shashir, that we're internalizing this light more and more within. The emes hu mala yesera ach she'enoch na'asik pnimius bli tikkun chitzonius. Lechem izman shi beis hamikdash chaim hakol beneko lekachtem lechem u'leremesh shegadu mala pnimius shezeh b'yad ha'odem. The Indian ayin parem b'chag neged ayin sarim. So comes Sukkot, we have to deal with the chitzonim as well, all the externalities out there. So Baruch Hashem, we have the ayin parem, we have the 70 bulls. We bring these 70 bulls during Sukkot. The first day is, I believe, is 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7 till the last day of Sukkot. And then we bring one more par at the end, the Shmini Atzeres, which is, we all know, the famous Torah from Rashi, and we learn in the Chumash, the idea that that's for us, for Am Yisrael, a day just for us. But up until then, we have to deal with all the sarim, all the nations of the world, fix up all the chitzonim, just like when we make Kiddush, there's 70 words there, and we're dealing with the 70 sarim. Every time we say Kiddush, Yain is Gematria 70, Gematria Sod. We're fixing up all the different forces around, that it should all be there for the Kovod Hashem, all the nations of the world. Ki hamshachas hashpah yidei malachim, hasarim, hakol inyan chitzonius, la'asher ki b'nei Yisrael, buruchin lehem pnimis, menichim, hakol ayim sarim. So the whole idea is that we're the pnimius, but we're here to bring everything back to the center, back to Hashem. And that's the part of the avodah of Sukkot. We bring in these korbanos, we're doing our avodah in the sukkah, we're doing with the lulav, the daled minim. La'asher ki b'nei Yisrael, b'churim lehem pnimis, menichim, hakol ayim sarim. Hamelech minikis orach, the base is a base, the varim, shemaspik lo yisach yishu b'heikol hamelech. And the whole point is that we're doing everything to go into the heikol hamelech. Now we could go on and on and on. I mean, you can see this is a long time, we're not even like halfway through it. And remember, there's all the types of different Jews, the different types of daled minim, we're bringing everything together. It has so much awe in this time. I just want to tell a story before we finish in another few minutes. I was watching the dafyomi shir today from Rav Elistefansky. I don't know if any of you follow him. It's awesome. We have to go visit at some point. It's just something we have to do at some point to go actually see him in person. And he had a video of a different Rav. I actually have kesher with this Rav from way back. He's a Rav in Or Sameach, and he was telling a story, a beautiful story. My uncle and him worked on the Queen album of Bohemian Rhapsody. They were involved in that, and he was at that time. So there's a famous relationship between my family and his family and him, his work back then. And he did Teshuva Baruch Hashem, and he's a Rav in Or Sameach. Maybe they don't talk so much about his origins, but I know it from first hand who he was and who he is now. He's a Choshev Rav in Or Sameach, and he also did the Rocky Horror Show and other things like that. But anyway, this Rav told a beautiful story. But the point was, this is what really moved me and changed. This is why I've did Teshuva, why I'm here. This kind of story. There was a boy who was off the derech. Told this Rav this story. He went off the derech. It happens. He had nisyonos and he wasn't keeping Shabbos v'chulu. Anyway, he came, and if I miss any details wrong, you can go look at the shir of Rabbi Elistefansky today on the dafyomi, mercaz dafyomi. So he said, came this bocher, came to see the Gadol Ador. At that time was Rav Steinerman, and he comes to see him, and he has kesher through his family, and they bring him, and he speaks to him, and Rav Steinerman says to him, how long has it been since you're keeping Shabbos? He says a few years. And he says, and have you had any charata? Have you had any regret not keeping Shabbos? He said, about 4 times during those few years I had a regret. What kind of regret was it? He said around 10 minutes each time. There was a certain moment I had regret, and I really felt bad. And then I go, as Nissan Black would say, hey, chicken nugget, get on with it. Yeah. So He's like, having his 10-minute charatas, but he says, oh, I'm jealous of you. He says, you're jealous of me? He says, those 40 minutes, you were about tshuva. And as we just learned about tshuva, this is what Yor Yom Kippur, you come to Sukkot to protect you. The tshuva you've done is so special that Hashem made a whole mitzvah, a whole week, a whole chag in time to protect that awe of tshuva that we just mentioned. That 40 minutes says, I'm jealous of that. I'm jealous of that light that you had that I've never, I never went off the day, I never did keep Shabbat. I had such a level of charata. So, I'm jealous of that. He said, wow. Anyway, so that really made an impression on this person, and slowly started doing tshuva to the point where he started keeping Shabbos and everything again, Baruch Hashem. Anyway, so someone came up to him and said, look, I have a question. How can it be that you went to see Rav Steinerman? You agreed. You were off the derech, like, wait, Mark Kesher, like, what do you have connection to Rav Steinerman? Like, even though your family, but you weren't even really talking to your family, and you decided one day to go speak to him. He said, let me tell you, and we'll end with this. He said, it was years ago, and I was in Cheder. And our Cheder, and this is why I mentioned my own kids in Cheder and the Chassidish system, I had these kind of experiences. He used to go take them to get fehed, to get tested by big gedolim, by big rabbonim, and sometimes it went very well, sometimes not. But this case, he came and the rabbi said, please ask the easiest questions. Yeah? We want everyone to get a sweet and feel good, a little sugar hopping like we did the other day. Everyone get their sweets for nothing almost. Or maybe they'll say a little Torah, maybe. Anyway, so he comes to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe was Rav Steinerman. And Rav Steinerman asked questions to everyone, and everyone answered easily. And he comes to this boy, who was a boy then, this boy who became a boy, he was a boy back then, and asked him the questions, and he didn't know the answer. So he asked him an easier question, didn't know the answer. Asked him a third question, still didn't know the answer. It was the easiest of the easiest, and still didn't know. Okay, and he just moved on to the next block. He didn't want to make a deal out of it. Rav Steinerman is sensitive. God is not going to embarrass him further. Anyway, as he was leaving, everyone's walking out with their sweets. He calls him back over and said, you know what? Those 3 questions you didn't answer, the Torah doesn't reward you for your success in Torah. It's not about success in Yiddishkeit. The Torah rewards you for your effort, for the struggle. So you deserve not just one set of sweets, you deserve 3. Because the effort is what gets rewarded. So he gave him 3 sweets, he walked out, he said, I never forgot that. And that's why I went years later in my life, when I wasn't keeping Yiddishkeit, I went back to Rav Steinerman, and he was able to awaken that light of tshuva within me. So we just end, what was the point that moved me more? Not the story, a beautiful story. I watched Rabbi Elistefansky cry when he was put the video on in the middle of a dafyomi shir. In 2023, on YouTube, on Zoom, and all the different internet apps that everyone's busy with, and he puts this story on, and he cries. And I also cried. And that's the point, that the light of Torah, the light of tshuva, the light of tshuva is there. And it's up to us to bring it into everywhere we are, especially now with Sukkot. And we should be zocheh with that. We'll be zocheh to tshuva shlema, tshuva b'ahava, b'simcha, and Mashiach sekeni b'mhei v'meinu amen. Amen.